Ever get that feeling when you pick a ship, in a video game just because it looks cool, then bam, it turns out it's got this whole other thing going for it, like secretly the best for, I don't know, exploration or something?
Happens more often than you'd think. Like those tools tucked away in the back of the drawer, you rediscover and think, wow, this is perfect for this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're all about today, diving deep with the Anvil Terrapin. At first glance, military muscle, right? But peel back the layers, and you find a ship practically built for, well, uncovering the galaxy's secrets. We've got this fascinating breakdown of the Terrapin's specs, its features, and let me tell you, there are some surprises.
Oh, the Terrapin, it's a textbook case,
Yeah.
of how a design born from one need finds new life somewhere else entirely. It was a UEE commission way back in the late 28th century. They needed a tough, long-range scout. Think Overwatch, picket duty, keeping an eye on the enemy, feeding back intel, that sort of thing.
So picture this. A lone Terrapin, edge of known space, holding the line, scanning for threats. Got it. Now take that same ship, all that resilience, and point it not at a battlefield, but at a swirling nebula, a system completely uncharted.
You're right there with me. It's not about cargo runs, no massive firefights. The Terrapin, it's about information.
Yeah.
Gathering it, analyzing it, and using that to navigate the unknown. That's where the design really shines.
Okay, so breakdown time. First up, size. We're talking medium ship, but it's not like colossal, right?
Oh, and that's actually a plus. Smaller means lower operating costs, which is huge when you're talking long-range exploration. The trade-off, of course, is cargo space. You won't be hauling massive payloads in a Terrapin.
Right, right. Less about hauling, more about, well, uncovering those secrets. But what it lacks in cargo space, it makes up for in, well, sheer toughness. We're talking serious armor here, right?
Absolutely. Legendary armor, that's the Terrapin.
Yeah.
So effective in those early military deployments, it actually influenced the design of later UEE ships. This thing can take a hit and keep going.
Which, let's face it, is a good thing when you're out in the black exploring the unknown. Who knows what's lurking out there?
Exactly. And speaking of lurking, we can't forget the Terrapin's other claim to fame. Its scanning capabilities. This thing is packed, I mean really packed, with advanced long-range scanners, military-grade sensor tech.
Now that is where things get interesting. We're not just talking about, like, spotting a pirate before they see you, are we? What kind of intel are we talking about with these scanners?
You're on the right track. Think about it. Detecting faint energy signatures, hidden jump points, or maybe geological anomalies that could point to valuable resources. The Terrapin, it gives you that edge, that ability to see what others miss.
So picture this, right? You're out there in the black, charting new territory, maybe even, getting a jump on some valuable intel, but all that scanning power, those military-grade sensors, gotta be a drain on the old fuel tanks now.
It's always a balancing act, isn't it? Power versus efficiency. The Terrapin's armor, the scanning suite, they do draw a good deal of power. But the designers, they weren't messing around. They gave the Terrapin surprisingly large fuel tanks, especially for its size.
Okay, so longer expeditions are still on the table. That's got to be music to the ears of any explorer worth their salt.
Absolutely. And it gets even better. For those exploration-minded pilots out there, the Terrapin has a built-in fuel intake system.
Hold on. Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Imagine this.
Mm.
You're cruising through a nebula, right? And as you're gathering data, you're scooping up hydrogen as you go. Efficient, atmospheric, wouldn't you say?
Wow. Okay, so I could literally be refueling while exploring a nebula. That changes everything. No more like, oh, gotta stop at this space station to top off the tank. But let's talk cargo for a sec. Every explorer needs a little space, right? For samples, maybe a salvaged thruster or two. What's the Terrapin working with in the cargo department?
That's the one area where the Terrapin, it asks a bit more from its pilot. Let's just say it requires a certain creativity. It doesn't have a dedicated cargo hold.
Ah, so that's where some of those trade-offs come in.
Exactly. You might be able to, I don't know, squeeze in a few extra units of cargo here and there, but it's not ideal, not by a long shot. And it comes with risks. Too much cargo, you start sacrificing maneuverability, maybe even stealth.
Yeah.
And that could be a problem, especially in a tight spot.
Right. Makes sense. It really drives home the point that the Terrapin, it's about knowledge, not necessarily, hauling back piles of loot. But let's get down to brass tacks here. Who thrives in a ship like this? Who's the Terrapin pilot?
Now that's a question worth pondering. It's not for everyone, not by a long shot. But for the right captain, the Terrapin, it can unlock some incredible experiences in Star Citizen, that's for sure.
So we've laid it all out. We're talking about a tough, stealthy ship, incredible scanning capabilities, perfect for, well, those uncharted corners of the galaxy. But it's not about like hauling cargo or getting into huge dogfights. It's about knowledge, information. It's about seeing, well, seeing what others miss. Who is drawn to that?
Okay, imagine this. You're a lone wolf,
Right.
an explorer. You value self-sufficiency, you chart your own course. The Terrapin, it's your perfect companion. The range to hit those remote sectors, the resilience to handle, well, whatever dangers pop up, and of course that scanning suite. Uncovering those hidden wonders, and let's be honest, there's something about being the first one to find a jump point or a resource-rich asteroid field. That's something special.
Absolutely. It's like having a big flashing secret sign just for you. Okay, so we've got the lone wolf. What about, well, someone who thrives on a different kind of knowledge?
Oh, absolutely. Instead of material riches, you're after something else. Information, pure and simple. You're an information broker. You operate in the shadows, gathering intel, and then, well, selling it to the highest bidder. The Terrapin, with its stealth capabilities, perfect for slipping into restricted systems, grabbing data with those powerful scanners, then vanishing.
Okay, now that is cool. I'm picturing it. Clandestine meetings in nebulae, data trades going down in asteroid fields. This is high-stakes stuff.
It is, it is. But it's not just exploration or espionage. The Terrapin, it might also appeal to a certain kind of, well, combat pilot.
Now that has me curious, because from what we've talked about, this isn't really, it's not a brawler, right?
Yeah.
So how does a combat pilot make use of a ship like the Terrapin?
Think about it. The Terrapin, it's not about brute force. It's about awareness. Those scanners. In the right hands, a skilled pilot could use those to dictate the terms of engagement. Choose when and where to strike, exploit weaknesses, and then disappear before the enemy knows what hit them.
It's like a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, but in space,
Yeah.
with a really tough mouse.
Exactly. A different approach, rewarding a certain, well, cunning, precision over brute force.
This has been incredible. The Terrapin, it might not be the flashiest ship out there in Star Citizen, but it proves that sometimes those overlooked tools, they're the most effective. And that lack of cargo space, maybe it's not a limitation. Maybe it's a design philosophy. It makes you prioritize, well, experiences knowledge over, just amassing stuff. What do you think?
You've hit the nail on the head. In a universe obsessed with what you can own, maybe, just maybe, the real treasures are out there waiting to be discovered. And who knows? Maybe the Terrapin, it's the key to finding them.